Well, hello, everyone. My name is Gina Bender, and thank you for having me on tonight. I'm going to co-host this call tonight with Abner Fisher, business partner of mine. Abner and I actually found out about a wonderful product and shared it with a few people, and that product seems to be doing some amazing things with not only adults, but we're finding out with children, especially children with special needs. Tonight, I would like to introduce my partner, Abner Fisher. Abner, are you there?
I'm here, Gina.
Okay. Well, Abner, thank you for joining us tonight. I know, I found out about this product, just a few short months ago, this product called Prodovite, and we've seen it change so many lives. And after I shared it with you, you had the opportunity to share the product with Stanley. And you may want to just talk for that for just a minute, and before we bring on our special guest from Canada.
Okay. Well, yeah, we did introduce it to Stanley, and when we introduced it to Stanley, he was not doing too good, and this product has absolutely changed his life in a few short months. Yeah, it's amazing what it's done to him. He has had diverticulitis. And in a few short months, his pain is almost gone, if not completely gone. And there's one thing I wanted to share that me and Stanley, after he's been on it for a few months, had some great results. Wanted to share it with some people in a neighboring town. So I drove with him out, and this is just kind of to show who's behind this product, or I guess the better thing would be to say who's leading us to talk to who. And what I mean by that is God, I feel, is telling us who to tell about this product. So we were on the way out to this neighboring town, Millersburg, and we had in the GPS of where we wanted to go. And soon Stanley was on the phone. Soon he turned around. And I was like, well, Stanley, where are you going? The GPS, we were going right. And he just kind of motioned back. He was on the phone. So I was like, okay, I guess, he knows what he's doing, or he wanted to do something else. So he drove back, and after he was driving back, he came off the phone, and he said there was a young boy along the road that he wants to talk to. So I was like, okay. So we pulled in, and this young man was out along the road repairing a sign. And Stanley got out of the truck, walked up to him, and said that, I don't know why I stopped here, but here's my card, and this is what I do. Told him a little about Prodovite, and this boy says, well, my dad lives in the lane here, and he has Parkinson's. Why don't you go in and see him? And Stanley was like, well, I guess maybe that's why I was, wanted to stop here. So we did. We went in the lane, and this older gentleman came out, and he was very happy to see us, and it was very obvious that he had Parkinson's, and I think he had some other, prior to that, about 6 months prior to us seeing him, he had been involved in an accident where he hurt his neck. So he was working with some issues. Anyway, we sat down with him, shared him the Prodovite, gave him some samples of the Prodovite and the Brain Reward, and we probably spent a good 3/4 hour with him. After we were done, he gets up, and I don't know if it was his energy level, how much better he felt, and he was like, well, he kind of got revved up, and he said, well, I think, I could race someone. So Stanley gets up out of the chair and runs, and this man runs behind him in the kitchen, and it was amazing. And we looked over at his wife, and it's like, has he done that before? She said, it's been a long time since I've seen him run like that. So wow. That was just amazing, yeah.
Well, I know you guys have been on a mission since you found out about Prodovite, and you've touched so many lives. And one of the lives Stanley was able to touch was up there in Michigan, and then through that, it led to this young lady up in Canada, and I'm going to let her come on the line because she has a neat story I'd love for her to share with the audience tonight. Heidi Hammond, are you out there? You will have to hit *1 to come on.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I would like to share about my son Aaron. He is 8 years old, and he was born with a chromosome disorder, which is chromosome number 1. And a lot of kids with special needs have chromosome deviances, like an extra piece of chromosome or a missing one, but he's got an extra little piece of chromosome number 1 in all of his cells, and it's not, they say it's not inherited, it's just the way it happens. So as happy as he is, he had some challenges. He was globally delayed in pretty much in all areas. He didn't meet a lot of his milestones, couldn't sit up at the time till he was almost, about a year and a half or so. And walking, he didn't really start walking till he was almost 2, or taking a few steps anyways. Speech, for sure, was delayed. He had sensory issues, so he was developing, but just at a slower pace, and we knew right away that there was something not 100%, and everyone kept saying, well, he's just a late bloomer and whatnot, and it just, we knew there was something different. And finally he got diagnosed, and there's no one else like him apparently. There's other kids with chromosome number 1 duplication, but it's the whole chromosome, because there's 23 different pairs, and he only has 1/3 duplication. And so even one gene difference from one child to another can make a big difference in the course of their life and how they develop, or different symptoms and stuff. So there was no way to compare how he was going to develop. But anyways, he had a lot of sensory issues. Like, by that I mean things like feeling, touching, hearing, all those things, tasting. They were oversensitive, and a lot of kids with special needs or chromosome disorders do have sensory issues. So he had real issues with loud noises. Oh my goodness, he just couldn't handle anything loud, even nice sounds like people singing or anything like that. When we were in church, he had to plug his ears, and actually for the first couple years, even up to age 5, he would have a meltdown. I had to take him out of the room, or bring earplugs or earphones to cover his ears when there was like any instrumental music or anything going on, an airplane flying by or whatever. It was always freaked him out. And nail clipping was such a trauma. He could not handle the nail clipping. It took really 2 people to do, one person to hold him down, sometimes 3, depending on how overloaded he was already. And so it was a real challenge. And washing his hair and all those things, it was just it was a challenge. And by the end of the day, he couldn't handle a lot of stress. Anything we asked him to do, he'd have a meltdown, because it was just too much information, especially when he started to go to school. He had a low muscle tone, which means just weak muscles. And he had constipation because of low muscle tone, and we had to make sure that we always had to give him something to help with that. And the speech, that was the biggest thing that was delayed in him, was his talking. He couldn't pronounce Braille, and he also had he wasn't like saying full sentences. He was just choppy little words like I do or things like that. So, just a basic delay. And his demeanor, I think, would be, I would say, maybe age 3 or 4, even though he was, 8. And so when we started giving him the Prodovite, and we also started on the brain reward, the very first thing I noticed was that his digestion was so much better. And he wasn't craving carbs, and he didn't have that constant need to chew on stuff all the time. So that was the number one thing, and he was sleeping better. I noticed that he wasn't up during the night, several times, and he woke up more refreshed. he had more energy. After about 2 weeks, he actually started to ask if he could, go around the block. He wanted to run. He wanted to have exercise, which it was hard to get him to do that because he just didn't have the energy left at the end of the day. He was so tired. And he didn't have the strength. So basically he basically just was like a wilted flower almost, and now he's asking to do stuff, and he's just go, I want to do this, and he's just awesome. He's not craving carbs. He's just wanting to eat more natural things. And the biggest thing that we noticed, which was such a blessing to us, is really after, I think it was 2 weeks after we started to give him the Prodovite, he actually said an entire complete sentence with pronouns and everything, like the first time ever. And I had a sustained conversation with him about, a broken handle that he saw in the kitchen. And he told his first joke. Like just the fact that he actually understood the fact about, some humor. I mean, slapstick humor, yes, sure, but I mean, not an actual joking. And that was amazing to me that he was actually able to, he gets it, it was just, and it hasn't stopped since then. It just hasn't stopped. He's just continued to amaze us every day, and his ability to express himself and speak. Pronunciation is a bit better. But his thought processes, his thoughts aren't choppy, and it isn't just random little thoughts and off and on. And he would jump back and forth between things that he saw weeks ago to a minute ago, and you didn't know where the connection was. Sometimes you had to do a lot of guessing, so it was always disjointed. And now he's just completely in the moment, telling you about what's going on. And when he refers to things way back, he actually tells you, a long time ago, this happened. To him, it could have been 2 days, but it was at least not now. And so it's just been such a pleasure. And another thing that was really huge is that his no more constipation, and his muscles seem to be getting stronger. He's riding a tricycle, an oversized tricycle, with no problems. And it took us, we've been trying this for 3 years, trying to get him to at least get the foot around once, even just to get the pattern going, and he just couldn't get it. And he's got the rhythm, and he's got the strength, and boy, is he ever proud of himself. He hasn't stopped wanting to be on that bicycle day and night. From the moment he gets up till the time he goes to bed, he wants to ride that tricycle because he's so happy he can do it. And also, a big thing that we noticed is that he thinks out loud. He has no ability to be able, or he didn't have the ability to just think quietly in his head. So he would think out loud and always be talking out loud. And it didn't always make sense, but whatever popped into his head, this was what he was saying. And if you told him to be quiet, to us it was like telling him just don't think, right? Because he just couldn't do it. And at night he would talk himself to sleep, talk over, and he would repeat the same things over and over and over and over, things that he heard on television or whatever it is. And that's pretty much gone. I'm just amazed. He's quiet at night. He listens when you talk. We can get through a prayer without interruption. He can actually pay attention to what people are saying and think quietly internally. That's a huge life change, because now he could be in a group without being disruptive. So it's just amazing.
Let me ask you real quick, how long has he been on the product, on the Prodovite and the Brain Reward, and did you start him on both products at the same time?
Actually, no. We started him on the Brain Reward first because we didn't get the Prodovite until 2 weeks later. So he was on the Brain Reward. Oh, sorry. Yes, he got on the Brain Reward the third week in in March. So he was on it for about a week, and only one at night, and then we started the Prodovite March the 27th. So, however long that works out now, almost 2 months. And I'll tell you, it just kept getting better. Like the results were more and more, and every day he seems better. So the first 2 weeks, he had, I think there might have been some cleansing reactions going on too, where sometimes he said, I don't feel so good, or his head hurt a little bit. And but you know what? That only lasted a day, and then it was gone. And we also noticed his immune system was better. He would pretty much catch everything that was going on around. And because he puts his hands in his mouth all the time, whatever was going around, he'd catch it, cold, flu, whatever. And when he got a really high fever and he had that deep, deep bronchial cough, I just knew this was a downhill, like a runaway train. And you know what? In 2 days it was gone with no more deep coughing. And I was just, and they said at the school the massive flu was going around, and he got some of it, and it never developed into anything. So that was 3 weeks after taking the Prodovite. And I give him a total of about 3 ounces a day, or 2.5 to 3 ounces a day. And now I upped it to 2 Brain Reward. First thing in the morning, about an hour before he has to get up out of bed, I give it to him in bed, and then he rolls over and goes back to sleep, and then he gets to eat. So that's just such a blessing.
Awesome. I mean, it's so awesome. I want to bring on Bill Downs, because he is the founder of Victory Nutrition, and also his partner, Dr. Stephen Kushner, is also on the line. So, Bill, are you or Steve out there?
Yes, I'm here, and I've heard Heidi's story before, and it is no less moving after I've heard it before. It's just an incredible story, and I think the most important message here is that parents with special need kids, especially ones that have genetic issues, have been told for a long time, like, would nutrition help? And no, it's a genetic disorder. And that's just ridiculous, because parents with kids who have special needs, these kids have greater needs for nutrition. We all know that stress really impairs our health, and yet they don't seem to make the connection that when a child has special needs, their special needs require extra special nutritional support, because those special needs impose a heavy, stressful requirement on them to try and exist in life, in our culture, and to function properly. And the proof is in the pudding. We've seen so many stories. Heidi's is definitely a perfect example of why nutrition is such an important component. And nutrition that gets in, this is the Prodovite and the Brain Reward are not like any other products on the market. They're specially made, and they get into the blood in a short period of time, and they really deal with improving gene expression. So we can't change genetics, but we can change and improve gene expression. So I am just so encouraged that that Heidi started using Prodovite Brain Reward. And one other thing I want to note is that she mentioned that her son didn't feel so good some of the time. And I want people to understand that the quality of somebody's health determines how effectively they're going to be able to get rid of garbage. And people that have, even everyday people, especially adults who've been alive a lot longer, have toxins that they carry around. If their body doesn't have the ability to make energy, it does not have the ability to get rid of toxins. And they produce quite a number of symptoms, inflammation and headaches and immune problems and rashes and joint health problems and kidney trouble and things like that. And when you start giving the body the resources that effectively corrects the structure and function of all the tissues in the body, the first thing the body wants to do when it's able to manufacture energy is take out the garbage. So some people will feel good for a while, and maybe almost immediately they'll get a detox reaction. They'll get a rash, they'll get a headache or a tummy ache, or some other quote-unquote symptom of a detox reaction. That's a good thing. That is absolutely a good thing. It tells you that the product is getting into your tissues and is cleaning house and trying to get you back to a state of health. And it doesn't happen all at one time. It can happen in stages and phases. So when Aaron got that, his head hurt and he didn't feel good, Heidi knew he was cleaning house. And everybody out there should take a lesson from this experience and understand that in order for your body to achieve optimal health, it's got to do some house cleaning. So I hope that kind of was an intro answer to the question, Gina.
Yeah, and Bill, while we're talking about cleaning house and talking about Prodovite in particular, can you explain, because we've got some new people on the line tonight, can you explain how Prodovite gets into the cells in a little bit?
Okay. Well, the number one health malady in our culture is digestive problems. Digestive problems are the drugs prescribed for digestive problems are the number one most prescribed class of drugs for a health disorder. After accidents, digestive problems are the number one reason for emergency room visits. They underpin every major chronic degenerative disease. And as Heidi had mentioned, Aaron was constipated. Clearly his digestive system wasn't functioning as good as it should. And it's not just elimination. It's disintegrating, dissolving, absorbing, using, and eliminating what doesn't get used. That whole process is involved in the digestive system. And 70 to 80% of your immune system tissue is in your digestive system. So if you have impaired digestion, you have impaired immune function. So we could be taking really good quality vitamin supplements, dietary supplements, and if you have a digestive problem, you're not absorbing all the goodness that the product has for you. That's if the products are made from really good quality ingredients, most of which aren't. So what we do is we do take premium quality ingredients. We then put them through a mechanical pre-digestion process. Just like when you try and digest your food, the first thing you have to do is chew it to break it down. Well, we put it through a super chewing process. It's an advanced type of wet milling that breaks down all the particles into super small, uniformly small sizes. And then we run a phospholipid technology on it, which is, phospholipids are interesting molecules. They exist in many fats and oils, and they are molecules that have one end that's water-loving and one end that's fat-loving. And in nature, if you try and combine water and oil, it doesn't work. But on a phospholipid, it does. And a phospholipid is an important molecule for every cell in your body. It helps to improve cell membrane flexibility and functional capabilities and energy production, immune production, brain health, skin health. I mean, they're just really incredibly important. And when you present these now smaller, uniformly smaller nutritional products to the phospholipids, they wrap around and encapsulate them, creating what's called a liposome, which is a phospholipid capsule. And we run that process for an extended period of time, but we do one other thing. We have a technology, we use a natural substance that increases the energy value of the phospholipid. We mix it into the phospholipid, and that is what is used in what we call the protozoaming technology, where we get these phospholipid liposome capsules, and we run it so that we have clusters of liposomes within a liposome and clusters of those within a liposome. It's like a lot of bubbles within a bubble and a lot of those bubbles within a bubble, up to 100 concentric continuous layers. It's called multilamellar. And all the tissues of the digestive system love phospholipids and allow them to absorb rapidly at ease without any resistance from the mouth to the colon. So when you put the Prodovite in your mouth, and you swish around for at least 30 seconds, preferably a little bit longer, the ingredients go into the bloodstream within 5 minutes. And we note that from the research, that we did a study on 41 subjects and demonstrated very rapid absorption, but we also looked at 30 minutes and saw even significantly improved benefits at 30 minutes. When these protozomes don't break down in the stomach, so what doesn't go into the mouth, you swallow, and they're protected in the stomach, and they go into the small intestine, and they continue to degrade or break down and release phospholipids and nutrients into the blood. So you get not only rapid release, you get a long-term sustained release that provides stable blood serum levels. And that's why there is no other product on the market like Prodovite, not only because of the ingredients, that's only 1/4 of the benefit, but the predigestion, the protozooming, and the energy frequency imprinting into the phospholipids dramatically improves the benefits to the body. And the proof is in the pudding. You just heard a couple of stories that people's lives were changed.
It's truly amazing, Bill. I'm sitting here looking at a Prodovite bottle, and it says nutrition you can feel.